Hello and welcome to yet another Game Boy video. I'm Jamie, this is Stuff We Play, and I've been on a bit of a Game Boy kick lately. And I think that's good because according to my YouTube analytics, y'all have really been enjoying the Game Boy content. So today I figured, why not grab my original Game Boy, yes there's a Game Boy inside this bigger Game Boy, and look at the original launch titles from back in 1989. There are 6 of these coming from across the world, with 5 being released in America and 1 being released in not America. Now yeah, I know these probably seem more basic than what a lot of people think when they hear the term Game Boy. Well, not counting Tetris, anyway. And that's fair, I mean, nothing here is as complex as a Donkey Kong 94 or a Pokémon Yellow or a Mega Man V or anything like that. These games are from the Game Boy's earliest days in 1989. I know that's pretty obvious, Wikipedia could have told you that, but it's still worth saying just for context. These games are all being ranked as well. I feel like number-based scores don't really say much of anything worthwhile about a game's quality, so today I'm going to just compare them all to each other. I'm trying to come at these games both from a modern point of view while also considering which ones I'd actually buy if I saw them on a store shelf, and there's really not that much out there as far as portable gaming went. I mean damn, it was 1989, what else would I have bought? An Atari Lynx? So today on Stuff We Play, let's play and rank all 6 of the original Game Boy's launch titles. Before we get to the heart of today's video, I'd like to mention our sponsor. This video today is brought to you in part by PCBWay.com. Take advantage of services such as CNCing, 3D printing, and of course PCB design and printing. From small orders to massive batches of PCBs, they have you and your project covered. This includes a variety of PCB designs from the ever-growing PCBWay community. Get controller adapters for a variety of retro computers, stuff for model trains, and of course custom Game Boy cartridges, which I think is especially topical for today's video. Look at these, so cool, I especially love the little Pokemon crystal design in the back. Anyway, check out PCBWay.com using the link in the description below and let them power up your next maker project today. And with that, let's get back to your regularly scheduled content. The first game up today is Alleyway. I first played this one when it launched in the 3DS eShop because, well, I don't know, I guess I just had a few bucks to waste. It's a really basic Breakout clone. Use a panel at the bottom of the screen to bounce a ball around and break blocks. Sometimes the blocks will scroll around, sometimes more blocks will come down from the top of the screen, and sometimes you'll reach a bonus level, which features Mario. And something I noticed in a few different Nintendo titles from this era, random Marios. It's kind of charming. Personally, in 2022, I'd rather go back and play one of the Arkanoid titles if I was craving playing a game like this. At least that one had power-ups and stuff. Alleyway isn't bad, just basic. There isn't even any music in most of the game, but also it's a fitting place to start off today. It's truly a middle-of-the-road title when it comes to quality. There's something oddly charming about sports games from the 80s. No league licenses, no real-life players on the covers, nothing really at all to really entice someone browsing a bunch of games on a shelf. But I don't mean that in a bad way. There's something weirdly nice about that. Oh, you like baseball? And you have a Game Boy? Well damn, here's baseball on the Game Boy. It's about as basic of a baseball game as you can get, but it's not like you're expecting anything more than a basic baseball game with a title like, well, baseball. And before I get some complaints in the comments, I'm not ragging on these games for being basic. I mean, damn, they're Game Boy launch titles. I even think it could be argued that, Game Boy hardware limitations aside, these games were always intended to be basic. The original Game Boy was Nintendo's first dedicated handheld console. You know, one that could actually play games off cartridges and use a standardized button layout, Game & Watch be damned. Basic games that are decently fun in short bursts and are overall passable were a great way to show that, though they were all black and white, well, I guess green and black more accurately, these games were just as playable as their bigger counterparts on the then still very relevant NES. Now granted, I'm pretty certain that even in 1989 you could find a more impressive baseball game than this on the NES. Game Boy Baseball is really simple, select a team and then alternate between pitching and batting until the game ends or you get bored and shut it off. Yeah, this one moves pretty slowly, and I say that as a lifelong baseball fan, or I was anyways until it was revealed that the Astros were a bunch of fucking cheaters. Baseball can be snappy at times. Hitting a home run is incredibly satisfying, especially when you get to watch your ball sail into the stands, but fielding is just so jank. The AI might hit a ball into the field and you may think you're running towards it, only for the game to switch which player you're controlling for you to suddenly be running in the opposite direction from the ball with a different player. And of course, the AI doesn't have any trouble with that stuff. So, GG to them, I guess. Earlier in 1989, one of the NES's greatest baseball games was released, SNK's Baseball Stars. I know that was followed up by some truly incredible sequels on the Neo Geo hardware. If you're craving some 8-bit baseball, like actual, authentic 8-bit baseball, the NES version of Baseball Stars is easily one of the best. As for Game Boy Baseball here, well, I'll rank it above Alleyway, just because it has more to offer, but not by much. Damn, another sports game, okay. Thankfully, there are only 2 of these, which is good because, unlike baseball, I was never really big on tennis in real life. There's nothing particularly wrong with the game itself for me. Tennis just never grabbed me in the same way baseball did. Maybe it's because I've never lived anywhere with some easily accessible tennis courts, but played a hell of a lot of street baseball as a kid. Anyways, this is tennis. Once again, yes, that's literally the title. It's another basic sports game, but despite what I just said about the sport of tennis itself, I'd argue that Game Boy Tennis is actually a bit more fun than Game Boy Baseball. There's a couple of different serves, which player is serving switches off after each round. Is it even determined tennis round? Oh, and Mario's the referee. Basic, yet charming. There's also a 2-player mode, cause yeah, the link cable launched with the Game Boy. It's funny to think about that for me. For the longest time I just assumed the link cable wasn't even really a thing until Pokémon. The only other major thing of note here is that tennis wasn't released at launch in Europe, not even in the UK, which is funny as I know Wimbledon is kind of a big deal over there, but they weren't missing much. That's Game Boy Tennis. It's basic, yet solid. Easy to move around, really fun when you get into a nice groove of hitting the ball back and forth. This one is a good bit of fun and light bursts. I mean, it's no Wii Sports Tennis, but it's good enough that I'll place it above baseball. So much for Alleyway just being middle of the road. I promise that one's not that bad. Tetris is the reason a lot of people bought Game Boys. You don't need me to explain Tetris because this line-clearing puzzle game is so iconic. If you've never played Tetris in some way, shape, or form, please stop lying. So what's there to say about Game Boy Tetris that hasn't been said a million times before? Somehow Nintendo ended up being able to do a first-party Tetris release after shenanigans involving Atari and the NES. And this Game Boy version is definitely a bit more rock-solid than Nintendo's version on the NES, which was already a really solid puzzler. 3 music tracks, with a line clear mode and a general high score mode, some nice references to the now former Soviet Union. Yeah, it's easy to see why this one took off. The only handheld system my sister ever owned was her original Game Boy. She bought it back in the early 90s and kept it, well, if I remember right, she kept it until a few years back when she sold it off. And the only game I ever remember seeing her play is Tetris. And I think that went for a lot of folks. It's a fun, addicting game that's really good to play in short bursts, and especially so while on the shitter. This one easily takes the top spot so far. I mean, damn, it was bundled with a ton of Game Boys. It's the Wii Sports of the Game Boy, as in you could have bought a Game Boy that was bundled with Tetris, never bought anything else for it, and still felt really satisfied with your purchase. I was getting pretty bored at looking at black and white gameplay, so I decided to play this one using the Game Boy Color palette. Gotta love the retro freak. And if you'd want to see me do a video like this for the Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance launch titles, or any other system really, I even did a video like this a few years back for all the PlayStation consoles, then just let me know in the comments below. So this is the one non-Tetris Game Boy launch title I still come back to on occasion, Super Mario Land. And like Alleyway, I first played it on the 3DS, and unlike Alleyway, I found myself coming back to it again and again and again. Shigeru Miyamoto, who as he said himself is Mario's dad, had nothing to do with this one. Instead, Mario Land was directed by Satoru Okada, who's perhaps best known for directing the likes of Metroid and Kid Icarus. And yeah, that shows. Even by Mario standards, this game is weird. You know how in the original Super Mario Bros., Mario has a kind of momentum to him? If you stop running, he won't stop immediately, but will instead briefly slow down. Yeah, Mario Land isn't like that. If you aren't pressing a direction while in the air, you'll drop like a rock. And if you stop running, you stop on a dime. But physics jank isn't all this one has on offer. Mario's iconic Fire Flower ability is missing, instead you have the Super Ball. Think of a Fire Flower shot that can ricochet off walls and even collect coins for you. Instead of flagpoles, levels have 2 exits. If you take the top exit, which, oh, I know, the horror may require platforming, you'll get to play a little minigame where you can win extra lives or a power-up. There's no Bowser or Princess Peach here either. Instead, we have Daisy in her first ever Mario series appearance, and this thing. It squeals like a dying goat when you shoot it, and really, that's the only thing of note about it. A couple of the stages are full-on shoot-em-ups, and I kind of wish there were more of these because they're really fun. Mario Land itself is already very short. I personally beat it when recording this gameplay here in around 20 minutes. There are 4 worlds with 3 levels each, and of those 12 total levels, only 2 of them are the shooters. Still, fun times. I really like how unique all of the worlds feel. It's like Mario's going on a trip around the world, and this is also reflected in the excellent soundtrack. Eastern Asia, Easter Island, Egypt, and well, that's basically it, isn't it? Apparently Mario's getting around a UFO as well. Nice. Take that, Mario Odyssey. Mario Land did it first. The music also had that nice early Game Boy twang to it. I don't know how quite to describe it, but a lot of early Game Boy game music has a sort of tinniness that isn't ear-grating, but more so sounds like it's gone in most later releases. I find it really charming. It really helps me differentiate early Game Boy games from later ones. Compare music from Mario Land and Tetris, even something like, say, Solar Striker, which came out in 1990, something like Mega Man 5, or even the original Pokémon games. Do you hear it? I hope that makes sense. Mario Land, for all its roughness, is still a lot of fun today. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some roughness there. I've definitely phased through platforms more times than I'd like to admit, but it still has a lot of charm, and thanks in part to its short length, it's incredibly replayable. By the way, I don't know where else to put this, so here it is. But there's actually a full-color ROM hack called Super Mario Land DX. It ports Mario Land to the Game Boy Color in much the same way Zelda Link's Awakening later was. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's Mario Land in full color with bigger sprites, and it's pretty dang rad. With all of that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and crown Mario Land the best of the Game Boy launch titles. Behind Tetris, of course. It's Tetris, it's just so addicting. But wait, there's one more Game Boy launch game left. This is a title called Yakuman, and it was only released in Japan. What type of adventure is it? Is it going to blow Mario Land and Tetris out of the water? And what were we in North America missing out on? Oh, it's Mahjong. But with that in mind, that's it for this look at all of the Game Boy launch titles. I have a Patreon which will get you some early content and some exclusive content for as low as $1 a month, and will also allow you to join these folks on screen here at the end of each video. I feel like I'm talking about the Game Boy stuff more and more lately, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I've always been fascinated by this little gray brick, and I hope you enjoy the Game Boy stuff I have in the works, in addition to everything else. So on that note, thank you very much for watching, stay classy, and I'll see you next time.